At the Track is brought to you by Olin Breweries and the Maritime Harness Racing Track Operators. And now, here's your host, Howie Trainer.
Hi, and welcome back to another edition of At the Track. An interesting show again this afternoon. Mike Downey, the well-known trainer-driver from Fredericton, will demonstrate and explain the various pieces of equipment that are worn by a pacer. Our tour will be the very friendly Summerside Raceway, this year celebrating its 100th birthday. And our feature race, the Francis McIsaac Memorial from Exhibition Park Raceway in St. John. All that and much more coming up in a moment's time. Considered one of the most friendly and also one of the most promotion conscious. Of course, we're speaking of Summerside Raceway, located in Summerside, Prince Edward Island, this season celebrating its 100th birthday as a harness racing track. And there's plenty of activity coming up, starting with Canada Day's doubleheader program. Dan Vio toured Summerside Raceway, and here's what he saw.
They're celebrating at the Summerside Raceway this year 100 years of continuous harness racing, the longest continuous operation of any track in Canada. Opened in 1886, the Summerside Raceway remains one of the smaller tracks in the Maritimes, but it's probably also one of the friendliest. Most of the horsemen here are involved in the sport as a hobby. Many farm or fish full-time, but keep a couple of horses out of a love of the sport that seems to be everywhere on Prince Edward Island.
No questions on it, because all the horsemen here, they have matinee races at other tracks, like local small tracks. And when it's their matinee races, those people will even stay home, they won't come here. And Summerside is home to pretty well all of Prince County and Central Queens. So they support the track real strong, and there's never been a question on purse money. Just everybody does a share, and if we need volunteers to do anything, just say how many.
Racing here goes once a week throughout the year, Wednesday nights through the spring, summer, and fall, and Saturday afternoons in the winter months. Except for Lobster Carnival Week in midsummer, when there's a full week of race cars, capped off with the Governor's Plate, which draws some of the best horses in Atlantic Canada. July 1st is the other big day in the summer. This year it will be highlighted by the Robert B. Dewar Memorial Pace in honor of the longtime general manager here who passed away this spring.
This was the year that he's worked for, I guess, over a period of years. And there's nobody that deserved any more to be here for this year than Mr. Dewar did. The track was always Bob's baby, as we called it, and he could prepare a track as good as anybody could. And we had our first 2-minute mile. It was at this track, and it was supposed to be a class of horses that wasn't probably as good as other years, but we came out with a sub 2-minute mile, and he prepared the track. I don't think we'd ever fill his shoes, because we never really realized how much he'd done. Till he took sick, I took over as president, and about the same time as he took a heart attack, or shortly after, and I'm telling you, it was quite a job to try and figure out what was going on. There was a race card went on here, we all knew that, but nobody ever stopped to consider what all was involved with running a racetrack. We have his grandson that's working with us, and he's a terrific young lad. He's young, he's eager.
Got it in his blood?
We kind of hope that he's got it in his blood, and he's, you know, he just can't do enough for us. So I hope that he's going to be the step in.
While the Summerside Raceway doesn't feature the computerized wagering system found at most bigger maritime harness racing tracks, there is a full slate of betting here. The average wager in a year is more than $1.5 million. While the horses here may not always be the fastest, usually coming in around the 2:08 mark, competition is usually very good, with the horses in each race well matched in ability.
You know, we call them the cheaper horses. They go for cheaper purses, but they seem to have lots of fun.
As do the fans, I would think.
And as do the fans, that's right.
Yeah. It's just fun to watch, whether they're, as you say, 2-2 or 2-10.
Well, it gets back to the competition part of it. You know, if the races are close, that's what the fans like to see.
The average person probably owns 1 to 3 horses. And it's just a competition among friends. I don't know whether they're so worried about whether they're going to win $50 out of this race, or they're racing against their buddy. They just like to beat him. And competition is just as rough here as any place you're going to race.
The track is owned by the town of Summerside, which is a unique situation. But the people here say the politicians who oversee the operations and hold the purse strings are pretty good bosses. In fact, a refinancing deal is just going through that will mean grandstand facilities here will be expanded over the next few weeks, creating a larger enclosed seating area. One note for visiting race fans, tables in the licensed club area at the Summerside Raceway are by reservation only, so call ahead. For that matter, if you have any questions about track facilities or the sport itself here, just ask anyone. You'll likely not find a more friendly and helpful crowd at any maritime harness racing track.
The purses that we race for, you know, if it was a business, you'd starve to death. You know, it's just a hobby, and people just seem to want to come and race. Like, we go for very low purses, and they really never complain about it, you know.
The love of the sport, perhaps?
I'd say there's probably more love for the sport here than there is maybe at any other track.
At the Summerside Raceway, I'm Dan Vio for At the Track.
We have reasonably good facilities.
In the many conversations I've had over the years with owners of standardbreds, one thing stands out, and that's the excitement of challenge of buying a horse as a yearling, seeing that colt develop or filly develop throughout the winter, and then come on strong as a 2-year-old. The dreams and hopes and aspirations are riding on that 2-year-old season because the big money comes at 3. Here's a look at 2 of the top 2-year-olds of 1985, Express Ride and Barberry Spur.
Another $1 million race winner, Barberry Spur, was voted top 2-year-old pacing colt, with many of his votes coming after this 154-1 win in the richest harness race of the year, the $1.35 million Governor's Cup at Garden State.
They're coming for home in the Governor's Cup final, and that's LeChancelo Bell now leading them into the stretch. LeChancelo Bell has a length and a half. Here comes Tucson Hanover in the middle of the track. It's Barberry Spur. Barberry Spur now sweeps into the lead. Barberry Spur starts to pull away for William O'Donnell in hot pursuit. Towner's big guy on the inside, Souffle, but it's Barberry Spur winning the Governor's Cup final.
Express Ride confirmed his title as top 2-year-old trotting colt with a narrow win in the Breeders' Crown, threading through heavy traffic.
Royal Prestige leads away. Express Ride on the outside. Along the rail, Farm King coming to the payoff. Royal Prestige is off stride. Farm King now has the lead. Back on the outside, Express Ride. It's Express Ride on the outside. Farm King second. Express Ride wins the Breeders' Crown.
The fast miles are starting to pour in from around the Maritime, starting at Champlain Raceway on Saturday night. Horton's Thunder 159-3 in the Ernie O'Brien Memorial, and Samaway quickest of the night 159-1. At Sackville Downs, as the Blue Nose Classic continues, the track was off because of rain. Stonegate Flasher 2-7-1, the Papermaker 2-6-3, and Jig Time Buddy in 2-0-4-3. Danny Romo still holds a hot hand, 8 winners on the week. Over at Charlottetown Driving Park, Guaranteed Chance wins their Invitational in 2-0-1-4. At Summerside, Dandy Spring in 2-0-5-4, and Claire McDonald of Nova Scotia, winner of the Maritime Ladies Driving Championship. Over at Fredericton Raceway, Sunshine Down 2-0-5, the final of the Power Baron Cup. At Truro, the Truro and Tartan Downs Challenge Series to Super Rhythm in 2-0-1-2, and at Tartan Downs Meadow Hotline in 2-0-4. That's a look at racing from last tickets. Then it was Tartan Downs on Monday. Not 1, not 2, but 3 good-sized triactor payoffs. $1,372.30 was the smallest one. Then they were over to $1,499.40, and the biggest one on the evening, $1,801.30. At Sackville Downs, a big pay, $1,680.40. Over to Summerside, the biggest one of the week in the Maritimes, $2,026.30. And at Truro, $1,191.60, and some good-sized triactor pays from around the Maritimes. One of the questions that horsemen get asked most often by fans is, what is that you are putting on the horse? What is that piece of equipment? What's a hobble? What's a gating strap? What's a head pole? Mike Downey is one of the top trainer drivers in the Maritimes. He took time out this week to explain it all to Andy LeBlanc. Here's the story.
Daily Special is one of Mike Downey's favorites. Downey has run the stable here at Fredericton Exhibition Raceway for more than 15 years. When in the stable, all his horses wear stable bandages.
Like they're in the stables a long time and they get restless and they kick the wall or something. It just most of them are more or less for protection is the big thing, and it only takes a couple minutes to put them on and off, and they're an ounce of protection's worth a pound of cure, they say. This here is essential, the harness right here. It's a lightweight thing and carries whatever rigging we want to put on them. This here is what they call the breast collar. It is what they use to haul your race cart or jug cart or race bike, whichever the case may be. And this here is the Cooper, goes under the tail to hold the harness in place.
In every step, Downey ensures the equipment is installed properly. One mistake could result in injury to the horse or its driver. He often checks the gear for wear and replaces it at the slightest sign of trouble. Downey believes if you are good to your horse, he'll be good to you.
He had it on quite a few times. He's getting to have some age on him. He knows pretty well what's coming off next.
Daily Special is now ready for the hobble hangers, another essential piece of equipment.
The front hobble hanger here goes in the front of them, and have two along the sides to hold the sides of the hobbles up, and one that goes at the rear. This here is what we call the hobble. It goes from the front leg to the back leg, and it keeps the horse on stride. This horse here is a pacing horse, and he wears these hobbles. And you just hang them on the sides here first, and then you go, usually put the back foot in first and then the front. He could almost do this for us if we could let him do it. Anyway, oh wait.
Some equipment worn by racehorses these days is not required, but more drivers are now putting protective knee boots and shin boots on their horse as an insurance measure.
When the horse gets going fairly high speed around the turns, they sometimes aren't quite sure where their feet are going, and if they hit their knees, they could get a swelling, or horse could go off stride or something. But so, like I would say, about 80 or 90% of the horses wear these knee boots. Like what this horse wears, some other horse might not, but it's generally a pacing horse would wear pretty well what you're seeing here right now. These are what they call shin boots. They protect the horse's tendon in that. Like they're just on for protection too. They got Velcro on them and that, and they just stick right on there, and they are a nice boot and everything. The jog cart we'll put on him there, where we're just going to take him out for a little exercise and that. It's a little heavier than a race bike, but not a whole lot, and it's a little more comfortable to ride in than the race bike. You got longer shafts and easier place to put your feet in that. So there, I got them all tied into the jug cart now, and the last thing we have to do is put the bridle onto them, and we'll be ready to go for a drive. Now this horse here, he wears a closed bridle. By that I mean it's got sides on it there where he can only see straight ahead, whereas some of the horses have open sides on their bridle where they can see everything. And
how do you choose which one to use?
Normally now when I break a colt, I start them out in a closed bridle like this, and most of the time I'll leave a closed bridle right on them unless a horse is nervous or flighty or something. Sometimes they open them, put an open bridle on them so they can see everything, and it cools them down. It's something that the trainers just have to keep working with and decide which they think the horse is most suited for. And so now these are the reins. I'll hook the reins onto the driving bit here, and the horse, that's what you steer the horse by, and he learns to, when he's a colt, he learns to go from left to right, or whichever way you want to go, very easily. There, now, the old guy's almost ready to go for a drive.
Downey says equipment for racehorses is constantly changing with the times. Manufacturers develop gear applying the latest technology with comfort and efficiency in mind.
When I first started out, and I could hardly lift the harness, and they come up with like this plastic harness there, probably wouldn't weigh, all the gear he got on now there probably wouldn't weigh 5 pounds or so, which is not very heavy for a horse his size.
This is Andy LeBlanc at the track.
Time once again to take a look at our glossary of harness racing terms. Scoring. Those are the warm-up sprints taken between the post parade and the time horses approach the starting gate. A maiden. Any horse, female or male, who has never won a race for which there is a purse. And the morning line. The probable odds on each horse in a race as calculated by an experienced track handicapper. That's our glossary for this week. We'll be back with our glossary next week. Coming up in a moment's time, a look at the France in St. John. That credit comes from many of the other horsemen, as well as EPR's General Manager, Race Secretary, Mr. Doug Caldwell. Francis was killed in a tragic race accident at EPR, and shortly after that, the memorial race was named in his honor. It was first run as an invitational event, and now as a stake race for 3-year-old pacers. Each year, the purse money continues to grow, and the McIsaac Memorial has become one of the richest events in the Maritimes. Here's a 1986 version with Connell Smith telling the story.
The sun is shining, the track is fast, and a stiff breeze is blowing in from the west. A good day for the running of the annual Francis McIsaac Memorial Race, featuring the best 3-year-olds in the Maritimes. The race is held annually in memory of the well-known and liked Francis McIsaac, who was killed in an accident in the 8th race August 31st, 1979, here at Exhibition Park Raceway. A night remembered well by everyone. This year's stake race goes in 2 parts for the total purse of $26,270. The first to win that by no means came easy. Here's track announcer Ingham Palmer.
They're 5 5/8, and it's on up the backstretch, racing now to the 3/4, facing to the top on the outside. It is Sunshine Down, another Thor is second. Amron Dude wide gets on to third, right behind him with good cover. Kill Karen Derby moving now to fourth. B-Hawk between horses is fifth. 132 and 2 by the 3/4 around the top turn. Sunshine Down. Amron Dude racing a strong second. Kill Karen Derby is third. B-Hawk racing fourth. Another Thor is fifth. They swing for home. Sunshine Down. Amron Dude. Then Kill Karen Derby swinging wide. Sunshine Down. Amron Dude. Kill Karen Derby. And here they are at the line. Sunshine Down. Amron Dude. Kill Karen Derby. Tight for fourth. One Eye Riley and B-Hawk.
Sunshine Down, owned by Milton Downey of St. John and driven by Steve Mason, is the winner with a time of 2:03 and 2.
I followed the horse out, and my horse, he got a little rough in the turn there, and I said to Mr. Downey here before the race that we just kind of like more or less an endurance race than anything else, you know, especially when you get the back tier and stuff. And I knew my colt, and I thought he had, you know, a shot, and things went his way.
Congratulations to Steve Mason and owner Milton Downey on a great win. A faster time recorded on the second half of the stakes race. We pick it up already in progress.
Second, Dr. Benghazi has a third. Jeff Down, all the glory. Kill Karen Direct is on the move. P.H. Bertan and F.G. Charles and through the stretch. They come racing to the half. It is Diana Royce leading the way. Bay River Chip is racing a second. Then Dr. Benghazi. Kill Karen Direct out moving a fourth. The half at 101. Into the turn now they drive on to the 5/8. Diana Royce the leader. Bay River Chip out driving on the second. Dr. Benghazi. He has a third. Then Kilcairn Direct is fourth. Jeff Down. All the glory off stride. Then P.H. Bertan and F.G. Charles on to the 3/4. They're neck and neck for the lead. On the inside, Diana Royce. On the outside, Bay River Chip. Dr. Benghazi is a third. Kilcairn Direct is a fourth. 3/4, 131. Around the top turn, Diana Royce. Bay River Chip, Dr. Benghazi racing a third and swinging out 3 wide now as they hit the head of the line, and here they come. They head for home. Diana Royce, Bay River Chip, Dr. Benghazi. Bay River Chip now. Bay River Chip, Dr. Benghazi and Diana Royce, and here they are at the line. Bay River Chip, Dr. Benghazi, then Diana Royce, Kilcairn Direct. P.H. Bertan, Jeff Down, All the Glory, and F.G. Charles.
Bay River Chip, the winner with a time of 2:01 and won an exciting race for driver Dave Pinkney, who caused a scramble when he tossed his whip.
Well, my colt left real good, and the 4-horse beat me out of there, and I just sat on his back to the 3/8, and I got him out and let him roll along. He's fairly tough colt. He can go a long ways. He's long-winded, so I thought I'd better get out and let him get caught in.
A very happy Dave Pinkney and owners Omer Casey and Bertan Cormier of Cocan, New Brunswick. All in all, a great day of racing here at Exhibition Park Raceway. For At the Track, I'm Connell Smith.
That's it for our show this week. We're back again next week at a regular time slot of 4:30, and coming up next week, the feature race, the Walter Dale Memorial from Fredericton Raceway. We'll also have a feature on an 82-year-old blacksmith who is still practicing his trade, and our track tour will be from Champlain Raceway in Dieppe, the newest track in the Maritimes. A busy week is coming up around the tracks, and two of the highlights are at St. John. It's the $30,000 plus final of the Rothman Series for 3-year-old pacing colts. That's on Saturday afternoon. On Friday night at Sackville Downs, the feature is the $9,900 final of the Blue Nose Classic. And as I mentioned, very busy week coming up in racing, and what we suggest you do is give a call to your local track. There's one near you, and they can tell you their post times and what the feature attractions will be on each and every race card for the week. And it would be a good time to take the family out and expose them to the sport of harness racing. And we're calling once again for your comments on the show, pro or con. Just drop us a line, Howie Trainer at the Track, P.O. Box 5004 in Moncton. Until next week at 4:30, I'm Howie Trainer at the Track.